Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday night edition of the African American Athlete. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with my co-host, Mr. Ice himself, Michael Roberson, my friend and frat brother. Uh, hope you all are doing well out there. Mike, it's good to see you, brother, and looking forward to the show we're going to be doing shortly by one of our NBA insiders. The ABA and NBA legend Matt Calvin, and break down some of the playoffs and get into some other topics tonight, Mike. And yeah, we'll start with some sad news. And let me just play this.
In terms of
we have some breaking news for you this hour. Singer Tina Turner has died at the age of 83. Let's bring in Sarah Galashan on the breaking news desk on this story. Sarah, tell us more.
Well, Hannah, we're hearing reports from her publicist confirming her death at the age of 83, that she has died, passed away after suffering a long illness. And we are certainly watching social media channels for what we expect will be considerable reaction to this news, because this is someone born under the name Anna Mae Bullock in 1939 in Tennessee. She's talked about how as a child she can remember picking cotton in the fields with her family. She went on to become a pop icon in the 1980s, having had considerable success in the lead up to that during her time married to her, we have since learned, abusive husband, Ike Turner. She did eventually leave that marriage in 1976 and has been very public about how she left that marriage and a scary time leaving what was a very successful career with very little other than the rights to her own name, her own stage name, Tina Turner. And after her album Private Dancer, which really solidified her position in the pop music world, she became and went on to become an important role model for many Black artists, many female artists, not just because of the success that we know that she achieved in terms of her numerous hits, but also her willingness to publicly share her story of struggle and the success that has come from that. She has been very open about her life story in the form of a biopic, a musical, and an acclaimed documentary film, Tina. As I say, she had suffered a long illness, according to her publicist, and she had been dealing with ill health, we know, since 2016. She'd been diagnosed with intestinal cancer. She'd had a kidney transplant in 2017. She had been, Hannah, recently living in Switzerland with her second husband, so not in the United States. But as I say, this news is just breaking. This is somebody who is acclaimed, a legend within the music world, and we are expecting there will be considerable reaction to news of her death, and we continue to watch for it.
And let's bring in our guest for the hour, a legend in his own right, in his field, the great Matt Calvin. And Mac, I don't know, can you hear us yet?
A little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
If you can turn your volume up a little bit, because I talk pretty hard, pretty
Okay.
late.
I will turn mine up, and we're going to definitely get into some sports tonight, guys. But, you know, Mike, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the passing of Tina Turner, who was a legend in the world of music.
Right, and you can see that they labeled her as Queen of Rock and Roll. That's a pretty hefty title. We know who the Queen of Soul was,
right.
The great Aretha Franklin. But yeah, they dubbed her as Queen of Rock and Roll, and of course, the King in all the accolades that have been given is should be Little Richard, but but it's Elvis Presley, and so yeah, she overcame. Well, you know how he always says, "Shut up! I haven't been in rock and roll." Okay, but yeah, so you know, a lot of great accolades. Of course, a lot of us knew her first in Ike and Tina Turner, back in the 60s and then, of course, 70s. And then she broke away from him right mid 70s, the bicentennial year. And then she became more of a pop star going over to Europe and all that. So, and some people stayed with her and said, oh, I love her evolution to this plateau. Some were saying, House, like some people do Lionel Richie. They said, I don't know, man. I like you more as a Commodore. You seem like you kind of change your thing. So, but she has really made steps into a higher echelon for popularity, and she reinvented herself and, became absolutely a legend. And of course, is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and deservedly so, getting her flowers before she passed away. And then now, as she has passed away, people are definitely going to give her flowers.
Yeah, and well said. And she's in there twice too, Mike, on her own and with Ike and Tina Turner. And Mac, your thoughts on the passing of Tina Turner? And you're one of those athletes, man, that came around in the 60s where the black athlete was exploding on the scene in basketball, baseball. Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Willie McCovey, all those great baseball, Frank Robinson, football, Jim Brown, who we just lost, and the music of Motown, and then, Ike and Tina Turner. And she didn't become the global icon, like Mike said, until a little later on. But your thoughts on all of that, because you were right in the middle of it as a young man playing professional basketball.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in fine.
Great. I'm really grateful to be on your show. And unfortunately, the passing of Tina Turner really hits home because it does resonate with me during that era, Ricky, when I was growing up. And, I wasn't a person that went out to parties and dancing, but the Aretha Franklins and the Tina Turners really hit home. But just to look at her career, what she had to overcome at an early age, she picked cotton. She was 11, 12, 13 years of age and worked in the fields, really didn't have a family lifestyle. And the first love that she encountered was with Ike. And you know the story, that abuse, the physical and verbal abuse, the drug abuse that she encountered. And I think the wonderful thing about Tina Turner is all the things that how she overcame all of those setbacks and negative situation upcoming and an upbringing. But yet she maintained when she got older and really broke away from Ike, she was able to show the class that she had as an individual and what she did in our community and how she was able to give back. A lot of people don't realize that she really gave back to so many underprivileged, abused young women. Some programs that she started, and so if you've never seen for your audience who've never seen the movie, the Ike and Tina Turner story, it is a masterpiece. It depicts some of the struggles that she had to overcome, how she physically had to really break away from Ike Turner to gain her liberty and to gain her freedom. And that's when she really went to another level, when she broke away from Ike Turner and all the abuse, because he had her in bondage for years. He didn't even want her to see her family or her kids. And so, it's a tragedy, but, we can't stay on this earth for long. And what we do on earth while we're here and making a difference is what I think personally God has called us to do. And we lost a great civil rights leader, tremendous athlete last week in Jim Brown, and now this week we lose Tina Turner. And so my condolences to her family and to all of her fans. But we should remember the good times and remember what she brought to this society.
And Ricky, let me just say this.
Go ahead, Mike.
Definitely got to give a shout out to the well-acclaimed and great actress Angela Bassett, who
I was just
did
going
a
to say,
tremendous job portraying her in the movie.
Yeah.
And of course, some of the youngsters that, even though I'm not that old, but some of the youngsters that didn't really see Tina perform or, see her on TV and all that during the 70s and all that. That's the portal to her is via Angela Bassett. So she did a great job. And even Tina loved her, the way she portrayed her too.
Yeah, and Mike, you took the words. That's exactly what I was going to mention.
Okay.
And she was nominated. Angela was nominated for a Academy Award for her portrayal of Tina back in '94. And you know what though? And that's the great thing about YouTube. We criticize the internet for good reason because there's a lot of mess out there.
Right.
But we get to do shows like this because of the internet, and we get to do history. I can go on here and watch Matt Calvin doing his thing back in the AVA. We could go back and watch Dr. J or Willie Mae. All these guys are captured forever now because of YouTube, and that is the great thing. You were gonna say something?
Yeah. I was gonna say I really very grateful and appreciative of you guys. I know this is a sports talk show, a podcast, but the fact that you can spend a couple minutes and talk about a legend like Tina Turner, and I'm sure you've talked about the Jim Brown, but not only the fact that Tina Turner was a great singer and a dancer, but she was able to cross the lines to allow the white community to see her and listen to her by being with the Beatles and being with some of the other major white groups at the time. And so that crossover, it's like James Brown. He was able to cross over. And Michael Jackson and all those great performers was able to cross over and bring the white community in to see the greatness of a Tina Turner. And I think that's what, and then she was also a classy person that never got into trouble. You never saw that she went to jail for drugs or smuggling drugs into a certain country or any of those places. And so I applaud her. And, for over the last 2 decades, she lived in obscurity in Switzerland, but she lived in peace, but she was still able to stay connected to the musical world. And I think you have to applaud that. And the last thing I would like to say is that the wonderful thing about a guy like myself who's been around since the 60s and have seen the racism and have seen and have been a part of what it really takes to cross over and gain respect from the white community. And that's by being, first class, being classy, and not showing the negative side of bigotry like the other side used to show to us. And there's a price that we paid. I'm sure Tina Turner could not stay in some of the hotels. She could not eat at some of the certain restaurants. And like myself, so that's a price we had to pay without lashing out in a negative sense to the community. And so my wish is that our young people will look at Tina Turner, the great artists that we have here now, certainly African Americans, and the great athletes we have will look at the shoulders that they stand on and try to be a model so that all communities can embrace who we are as a race.
And well, Matt, Mike and I definitely appreciate that because we stand on your shoulders and all the legends that came before us. And you mentioned Jim Brown. We did when we learned he passed, we did a special hour on Jim Brown. And speaking of Jim, your thoughts on his passing and his legacy?
Well, certainly he was during that era of Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and those individuals. Jim Brown probably could have, his record probably would be standing today if he would have played another 5-7 more years. You know, he retired when he was 30 years of age, but and then went into the movie industry. But the thing about Jim Brown was that there was a calling on his life far greater than running the football and making money. And so that's what he went into, the civil rights advocate for us African Americans. People talk about his off the field issues and problems with women, and it's not for us to hold him hostage or hold him accountable for it. I think that he's asked for forgiveness, and I think that's taken place. And he lived to be a model citizen and respected by everyone. And again, we lost another legend last week.
Yeah, and we talked about that. I mean, was 6, 7 instances that come up when people talk about his off-field problem. But the man lived 87 years. If you guys talk about all the bad things I did, in my time when I go, I mean, I was seen like the worst person in the world. So
Right. Yeah.
And
we have to forgive.
Deference for me because a lot of people are upset with his, and I was too, to see him sitting there with Donald Trump. But that doesn't take away from what he did all those other years, and he gets deference.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I agree with you, Ricky. I think a lot of the African American community his relationship with Donald Trump, along with Kanye West. But I think sometimes it takes the Martin Luther Kings, those great civil rights leaders, to sit on the other side. So individuals that may not think the way our community thinks or understand the plight of the Black African Americans, that if we have a chance to sit at the table with them, and maybe eventually they will come across. That's maybe, but I think that if we continue to not come to the table and share our views and try to allow others to see who we are as a race, because I think there's so much stereotype as a mindset on who African Americans are. I think that the white community still look at us as the Jeffersons and good times, and that we all are on welfare. And so I think that we have to be able to. So I don't hold him accountable for that. I hold him, the fact of what he's accomplished, what he did accomplish, and speaking out during a time for African American people.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on that, Mike? I know we had that whole conversation the other night.
Yeah. Just the whole situation with Trump. Think about this. Before, he became a politician, there's all kind of photographs with him with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and all those guys. He seemed to be chummy with a lot of people, and they kind of forgot about the whole civil rights violations he had with his buildings and those kind of things. But there was a point where he seemed to be pretty cool with the African American community, probably when The Apprentice started and all that kind of stuff was going on. But once he said, I'm running for office, and he started making all those outlandish statements, because he even said, I think he was a Democrat at first, and he said, if I run for office, I'll probably do it as a Republican because you can get over on those guys pretty easily. And that's exactly what he did. They had footage of that like years ago when he just kind of just threw it out there that he may run for office one day because he was this rich man and all this, and the world was his oyster. But but he started making all these ridiculous statements and Proud Boys and all anti-Black Lives Matter and all this, and then the whole bashing of football and Kaepernick. So that's when he just got into the whole, nobody of color really could deal with him. But
Yeah.
like Max said, you kind of got to get that, I don't want to say the movie Sleeping with the Enemy, but you got to kind of, be able to canoodle or, kind of have some type of conversation with the other side just so you can squash the differences.
Yeah. Mike, I will say to you and Ricky, as I've always been open and honest and transparent, accountability and transparency are the key things for me. I was once a Republican back in the 80s and voted for Ronald Reagan. And I became a Republican because the owner, Bill Daniels, who I played for, who I knew, who started the cable television business, and he got me to become and I hung around all those folks, the Coors family and all those folks in Denver, and I voted Republican for 4 years. But once I saw the mindset of who they really were, and I switched and realized that I'm a black man. I'm always going to be a black man. I have to continue to support my people, the black community, and doesn't mean so. I changed. So I would be a hypocrite to say that that I to speak negative about a certain party, and it's an individual choice. But I
Yeah,
think you get caught up.
Right.
People get caught up. People get caught up when you become a Republican, like about it's about the money thing. It's
Right.
about and what will take place is that so many on the right side will cultivate guys like myself, the Herschel Walkers, and the Jim Browns, and the small portion that have established a leader's position, and they really don't really know the whole community and the whole who Black African Americans really are. So I changed, and I've been a Democrat for other than those 4 years. So I'm on being honest with you.
Okay, and we absolutely appreciate that. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, though, Ricky, is that think about this: 1860s
Yeah,
Republicans were what I won't say pro-black, but they were more friendly, and the Dixiecrats, which became Democrats, were the racists. A lot of that changed, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't know. A lot of that changed in the early 1900s when Woodrow Wilson would basically turn a lot of people off, and then of course with FDR and the Fair Deal, that kind of was where the shift was to go from Republican to Democrat for black people. But think about this: Woodrow Wilson is the one that's responsible for this national anthem, and the national anthem was basically an angry poem by Francis Scott Key. And he saw that it said negative stuff about black people and the British, and how dare these ingrates want to be free and go join Britain, So it's like, so he said, you know what? I love this movie, Birth of a Nation, but I also like that poem that Francis Scott Key wrote back in the 1800s. Let's make that our national anthem.
Well, my thing is, hey man, whatever side you're on, you're going to be held responsible. You have a responsibility to your constituent. But let's keep it moving, because we got a legend in here tonight of the game of basketball, and we want to tap into some of his expertise. Let's start with last night's Celtics Heat game. The Celtics hung on, got a W. They're not going to get swept, Matt.
Well,
they are still
no teams in 149 times have ever come back to win. So keep that in mind.
It's 150 now.
Is it 150? Okay.
150.
150. Okay. So those statistics are real. But the thing about the Boston Celtics is, and I think some of the commentators, Chuck and Shaq and those guys have talked about it. They really don't have that killer's instinct, that mentality, and it starts with Jason Tatum. And I've seen this guy even last year when they fizzled out against the Golden State Warriors. He's improved a great deal, but that team as a whole just don't have it. And as I shared with you guys right before the series started, I thought that Philly would beat Boston because I thought Doc Rivers would outcoach. And as it turned out, in that sixth game where Philly blew it, Doc Rivers got outcoached and the team got outplayed. But tomorrow's game is unpredictable. But I will say this: the Miami Heat plays the same way all the time. They have that dog in them. They play hard. They play consistent. I just think that last night they were up quite a few, 15 points, I think it was, and then they just took the foot off the pedal. And but I think you'll see probably one of the better games tomorrow, Game 6 tomorrow when they play. I still like obviously Miami. You'd be a fool not to bet against them, but I just don't think Boston has what it really takes to take this to a Game 7, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But was that you, Mike, that mentioned them not having Udoka? I was talking to somebody the other day. If he was on the sidelines, and he's not, would that have made a difference in the way?
I just think it's the team. I think it's the team, Ricky. I just think it's the chemistry of that team, and they. I don't think they have the respect for this young kid, in my opinion. I mean, I thought it was so disrespectful last night when Jason Tatum was playing horrible, and Joe Mazzola took him out of the game, and he just kind of went out and flipped him off. I mean, come on, man, that is so disrespectful. And I've played with guys who have done that, and that just shows you the lack of respect. And this kid is he's a strong Christian. And he's 34 years old. He's made a lot of mistakes. I think that he recognized the mistake that he wasn't playing the young kid White, Daniel White, and he start playing him now along with the Williams. The Williams is the only one on that team that has some toughness. You can talk about Marcus Smart all you want. Marcus Smart, in my opinion, is a hothead, and he's a very inconsistent basketball player.
Well, my comment is that when you said that Doc got out coached by Mazzola, but they pretty much been saying Mazzoola's been over his head the whole season. That is a disaster, especially when it looked like they're about to get swept. Was his job on the line? So you really do think that he out coached Doc?
I think the players. No, absolutely not. No,
Okay.
but you as a coach. Mm-hmm. you got your ass out coached in Game 6. You're supposed to win that game.
Right.
Now Boston made adjustments and Philadelphia did not. They ran Boston's success. I mean, I should say Philly's success was the pick and roll with Mace Mackey and Embiid. But yet 80% of the time that pick and roll was Harden and Embiid. Harden can't get in the middle anymore. He can't. When Maxey had the ball and he's in the middle and penetrating, a lot of good things happen. They didn't get any contributions from the bench. Mm-hmm. Doc still stayed with a 7-man rotation. They didn't get anything. They didn't put Embiid in position where he could score. You got to put that kid. They had him way out high, caught the ball, and then they allowed the soft double team. One thing I say, going back to the Milwaukee series, they've learned how to play Giannis, put him on the elbow where he can make some things happen. Doc just got out coached and did not put his players, didn't make adjustments in Game 6 to win it. I mean, there's no question they should have won that game, no, without a doubt.
But the same thing happened last year when Milwaukee could have won the series against Boston, Game 6. And then you can say Bud got out coached when they just let Jason destroy them, and then they went on and won Game 7 and knocked the Bucks out. So the Bucks kind of been overachieving every year.
Mike, that's why he's out. That's why he's fired. I told you guys, you had me on your show 1 or 2 days later. I said they need to fire him. The next day, I said they need to fire him, and then they fired him like 3 days later. The guy could not coach, whatever his. And now who they're going to hire either Nurse Are they going to hire Doc Rivers? Probably going to go to Phoenix. It looks like Nurse is going to Nurse or Atkinson are going to Philly. You know, it's just they recycle these players all over again. These coaches.
What do you think about that, Mac? That's what I was going to ask you. It's like musical chairs. They're just everybody's going to go to a little different team now.
It's fear, Ricky. It's fear. It's fear picking a young coach and to take over organization. You can always say Doc won a championship, could have won 2 if Perkins Miami doesn't get hurt. But then that's in the rearview mirror because since then he's been having underachieving moments. So that's what they look at. Even with Nick Nurse, even though you can say that was pretty much just all Kawhi, but he still was the head coach when they won. So
that was the Dwayne Casey's.
Michael,
that was Dwayne Casey's team.
Exactly.
Nick Nurse didn't do anything but take over. That's all that was. And they traded DeMar DeRozan, but that was that was Dwayne Casey's fingerprints all over that game. And so going back to your question, there are a lot of great black coaches out there that they will not give a chance to. Monty Williams is going to be Monty Williams. He's not a coach that can think on and make quick adjustments, And plus, his biggest problem, he got into it with DeAndre Ayton down there. Ayton stopped playing. That was last year. They didn't even want to sign this kid, so he has a control problem, in my opinion. But it's going to be interesting. But I think Doc is going to get that job in Phoenix. It'll be the same. But the problem is very few general managers and president are willing to give a chance to an assistant coach, certainly an African American assistant coach, like the Lakers did with Ham. It was LeBron James that said you need to hire this guy. Okay, I mean if Tyronn Lue was available, that's who would have been hired. But I also hear that Philadelphia is going after Philadelphia and Phoenix want Tyronn Lue as well. But he's he's like a dead man. Dead man on an island with the Clippers. He's not going anywhere.
I hadn't heard McMillan's name come up.
You want? He's done. He's done. When your star player, he couldn't get along with Trae Young, so But the Alvin Gentrys of the world, the Macmillans, they resurface after another 2 or 3 years. But you got to give the West Unseld Juniors an opportunity. The kid Mosley down in Orlando has turned that young team around. It's unfortunate that Paul Silas's son, did not get more than 3 years to turn that lousy lottery every year team around.
Well, he got messed up. He got messed up when James Harden just pretty much, played his way out of there. Because that's what he's taking over.
And now he's talking about going back to Houston. Why?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Why would Houston want him? But Mac, I want to ask you something. Are there coaches for different organizations? Here in Detroit, got a young team, some good young players, and say, what kind of coach fits a team like that as opposed to Milwaukee, a championship caliber team? Could the same coach coach both teams?
Anybody that's got some experience and that's respected, and certainly a ex-ball player that goes to Milwaukee has a chance. They just need to tweak that. They need to make a few changes in Milwaukee. Not have the Grayson Allens out there and some of those other guys that are there. But their core guys, those 4 core guys, they could, and Bobby Portis, those 5 guys, add 2 or 3 more guys to that team. Man, they're right there because they're still young. Only person that got some age on them, I think, is Lopez. He may be 33. Right. But Giannis is young, so that window is still open. They're still, in my opinion, the best team in the East with the right coach. With the right coach.
You know what, Mac? You kind of committed a little sacrilege because that's a Coach K player, Grayson Allen.
Well, yeah, but he's not a
I know.
starter, Mike.
I
He,
got you. I
he's
got you. I'm just messing with you.
there's no comparison between Grayson Allen and D Ashanti. What's the kid's name in Golden State?
Yeah.
That
In the sense of
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's that kid can play, and Milwaukee allowed him to get away. I think it
Yeah.
was.
Well,
They allowed him to get
remember he was
away.
hurt when they won the championship, and then he
I
came
know,
back and just wasn't. Yeah. Then they traded
yeah,
him.
he's a
but
better player.
but he can
But
he
back
can
to that. To,
he can play, but that's a coaching problem right there. And I think long term that's a coaching problem in Boston. It wouldn't surprise me if Stevens come back. They're not going to fire this kid
yeah.
because that's Stevens the ones that brought him in. But it could be next year that Stevens step back in that position and be there. This kid just needs some experience. And he's 34. He's not a former player. The players respect former players who are head coaches.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't surprise me, guys.
But Mac, yeah, I agree with that. But Mac, just to finish that other question off, okay, a coach for a young team like Detroit and an established team like Milwaukee, two different kind of coaches fit.
I think, yeah, definitely. That's a young team.
Right.
So you
That's
need what kind of coach for a young
you
team?
need a veteran coach. I think the guy at the end of the day that may probably get that job is Scotty Brooks. Scotty Brooks is good friends with Troy Weaver, who's the general manager. They were together in Oklahoma for many years. But and Scotty has been successful with the Wizard. He's been, I think, the right hand guy the last couple years in Portland with Bill
Yeah,
Billups.
yeah.
Yeah, Billups. Yeah, and so that's what I think. You can't bring in that team with another great player or two is ready to go to another level. They won 17, 18 games. That team is capable of winning 30 games next year if they get there healthy. If Cunningham comes back and some of those other guys come back, they need to start building it now with veteran players.
So Milwaukee needs a veteran coach, a Doc Rivers, not necessarily Doc Rivers.
No,
Somebody
you know
that's
what,
been in those
Ricky.
big
I was
schools.
just about to say that because here's my question. Okay, Mac, he's went to Marquette, so that's this
Yeah, what's
familiarity,
Marquette?
and
That's right.
and he's from right across the border in Chicago.
Oh,
So wouldn't that be like a good fit for him? A championship quality team, and you get to go back home.
Yeah. I mean, he's going. That's a much better team than Philadelphia, and
Exactly.
that's a much better team. And then and Doc's the kind of guy. And this is, by the way, Doc's last hurrah wherever
Right.
he goes.
yeah.
But he's got championship DNA. He's a former player. He's from there. They don't need to bring fans in because they already have. They just need someone that can coach in pressure situation and that can put Giannis in the situation. And Giannis has got to stay healthy as well. Middleton was out. I thought Holiday did not play well in that series at all.
No,
Did not play well at all. And then at the end, the savior was trying to put Matthews in there. Matthews, 36 years old, and so that would say they just need one or two little. I thought they should have played Crowder. There's another situation. Crowder didn't play at all. That's why you brought him in.
Why y'all playing
another Marquette guy. That's another reason why I was saying if Doc's there, I know he's gonna say, look, man, I know what you can do. We need to get you out there. Because remember how Crowder used to hit the three and play good defense and all that? I didn't understand why he didn't play at all.
And he's tough, Michael. But
Yeah.
if you look at two games that Milwaukee lost, they had 15 and 18-point leads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you look at the last game they lost,
Yeah.
they're down 2 points and don't call a timeout.
Yeah.
And then they take Brooks out of the game, and so the other team looked at it, saw that situation. Milwaukee threw over the top to Butler, who scored.
Yep.
But if anything, you put Giannis on the defender, on Butler, and you put a big man on protecting the ball, and you force him to throw the ball not over the top, but force it to the sideline. They
Right.
win that game,
Boy,
but that was just our culture.
they just blew that series, man. God,
Well, yeah. Well, you blow it when you can't coach. You don't when you don't make adjustments.
Hey, let's go west. And you told me when they signed Anthony Davis that is going to be a problem, and he has been a problem. I mean, they won a championship
In the bubble.
yeah, in the ball, but he has not been the consistent force that they needed since he's been there. And Denver was just a better team in this series. But I'm just thinking about Davis overall. You got to say his time in LA has been disappointing.
Well, the problem there is that he's been inconsistent. He need to take some stock in toilet paper because he's soft as Charmin's toilet paper, in my opinion. But he's an inconsistent player, and I won't share the name of the individual that's really close to that franchise and is there every day, but told me that he just does not put in the work. He doesn't put in the work like a LeBron James. And then you notice he's always getting hurt or he's always getting tired. There's been some games when the media has gotten on him, fans have gotten on him that he's gone to another level. But they know now that he played good one game and he played bad the next game. I mean,
Yeah.
people know that now. But he's got such a huge contract that it's going to be hard to move him. If I was in the management, I try to move him to Chicago, where he's from, for Levine and Vukovic, and a draft pick. That's what I would try to do. I mean, that team is done. That team is done. Now you got LeBron coming out, not wanting to talk to the media after the game. Didn't have his exit interview. LeBron is posturing right now for them to try to get Kyrie Irving. That's all he's doing. And I don't know how much stock or how much equity that LeBron has now at 38. I mean, he had a great series, great last game, but he's not in a position to be calling the shots now. They got some holes in that. They got some holes in that team.
Yeah, I mean, Denver, I thought Denver was just better.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
Joker just, I mean, what is it about him, man? Because I mean,
Well, he's hungry. First of all, he's a very humble young man, very grateful, and he's humble. There's a kid, the 41st pick in the draft, and he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA in 5 years. And he's unorthodox. He's shoots off the wrong foot.
yeah,
It's just all
yeah,
the things that he does, but he just outworks you. He's nasty. He just outworks you, and
but
and I didn't think that the Lakers had a chance. I didn't think they would get swept, but I thought they would at least go 5 games, possibly 6.
I
But
thought they could have
Denver,
won a couple of games. Russell played terrible. Uh,
yeah, well, he Hashimara played extremely well.
yeah,
I didn't think that they had. I would have played the Walker kid a lot more. I probably would have started. I would have started Walker and Hashimara, and put Schroeder. Schroeder is just he's a miniature. He's a miniature Beverly, Patrick Beverly. That's all he is. But he probably can score a lot more better than. But that Laker team, they with this new collective bargaining agreement, man, they're gonna have problems. They got to sign Hashimara, and they got to sign the kid Reeves. Reeves is the 3rd best player on that team. You
did
know,
you buy into any of the talk about LeBron retire? That was just a ridiculous shot that Joker hit right there.
yeah, no, it really was. But no, I don't buy into it at all. Again, LeBron is posturing for them to sign. Kyrie Irving wants to come to LA. He wants to play, but
They really could have used them.
well, yeah, no question. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
but I want to ask you guys something, and this really bothered me the other night. Um, you know, there's no question the kid played well. But I thought Jamal Murray should have been the most valuable player in the series.
Mac. That's what I was just about to say. I was saying that when you guys, Ricky was talking about Joker. I said this dude was scoreless in the fourth quarter, the two games. It was Murray that pretty much dominated this series.
Yeah, no question, Mike.
Was terrific.
Yeah, I mean, think about Game 3. He had 30 points at halftime.
That's what I'm saying.
Which was a very pivotal game. And then the one game where he had 40 something. I mean, to me. I just thought, I don't know who voted. I think that it was the media, but there's no question in my mind that Jamal Murray was the outstanding player in the series.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I marvel at what the Joker has done. Just the way he played. I mean, you know, he just, like you say, that's what it is. He's unorthodox.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, he really is. And the one thing that teams didn't do, they didn't put any pressure on him in attacking the basket. Right. I think when the Lakers came back, and some of those teams, they put pressure on him, man. They attacked him, got him in the pick and roll and everything. But
Mac, he had 5 fouls, and they didn't even go after him.
Exactly.
About 5 minutes left.
Absolutely. You know, and that was a winnable game. And I have no idea what Darvin Ham drafted up or put together on that last shot for LeBron James. I mean, they didn't have a clue. You know, that was just, you know, I mean, but you got to give them credit. They didn't fold. They came out and played hard, and you got to give it to LeBron.
Every game. They play hard every game. They just couldn't finish the deal.
Yeah. Hey guys, I don't know, guys. I don't know if and Ricky, hold your thought. I don't know if you saw today in the news that there was a wellness check on John Morant on him.
Yeah.
You know, and it was kind of like almost he sent a suicide note to his parents, and I'm really concerned with that situation.
But they said that it was really him just saying bye to the internet or bye to social media for a while. So that's the indication he gave back that no, I'm not suicidal. I'm saying goodbye to social media because I guess that's why he's in trouble, because of social media.
No, that's one of the problems. But the kid's got, you know, he's got a drinking problem. It's not drugs. He's got a drinking problem, and he's got a problem where he doesn't have surrounded with leaders or a good support system. You know, and I think if he's going to go to a detox center, his dad need to be his right along with him. You know, because his father has a huge drinking problem as well that you can really see at the game, throughout the game when they. So I hate to see that. Here's a 23-year-old kid already has lost out on almost $40 million because he didn't make one of the top 3 All-Pro teams because of the games he missed, and so $40 million may not be nothing to him now, but when he gets 50 or 60 years old, you know, he's gonna wish he had that.
And his shoe is off the market now.
Is that right? Yeah. So I've seen it happen, Michael and Ricky, over my 50 years in professional basketball. And a kid that I helped mentor when I was playing for the Denver Nuggets, Michael Ray Richardson. I saw him destroy his life. You know, I saw the John Lucas of the world, who's one of my best friends now, who's gotten clean. And that's where Morant needs to go, to the John Lucas Clinic in Houston for about a month and let John take control of this young kid. I've seen it happen to Roy Topley. I saw it happen to John Drew. I've seen it all over the years. Adrian Dantley, we played together. It wasn't drugs. It was more he held 2 women hostage in Utah. And so I've seen it happen. And guys can turn it around if you have a good support system. But I'm afraid he's going to be suspended. I hope that my words are not true, but I think he's going to be suspended for a whole year. And if you suspend a kid like Bridges, who and he didn't play at all this past year in Charlotte for his
Right.
domestic abuse, and nobody wanted to sign him. Charlotte didn't sign him. I think this is even far worse, and this is his second strike. And
When
I
you
don't.
look when you look at that draft, guys, you think about Zion Williams and Ja Morant, 1 and 2, right? And they have both. I mean, Ja has been great when he's been on the court playing, and actually Zion has played well when he plays, but he doesn't play. They have been disappointing picks, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zion. I think it's a. I look back. I think there are two things. One, when he finished dinner, he need to say, "I am full," and stop eating. I think that's one of his biggest problems. He eats too much, and he doesn't have a good, healthy diet program. But he
And
needs to
he's
say,
living in New Orleans.
yeah, yeah. He needs to push the plate back. Say, I am full. I don't want any more. but 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 the biggest problem is that he's like Anthony. These guys don't have a program where they're training all year round. LeBron James is training all year round, fellas. You
Mhm.
know those guys are training all year round, and so and then they in New Orleans they're letting them get away with it. He said, "Oh, I'm going to come back when I want to come back." Because and then here's the other issue I think with these young kids: LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, Zion. These guys played so much basketball when they were younger, AAU basketball, and with the Ball brothers, this is me personally, and they can sue me if they hear this. I think they broke down because they were wearing bad tennis shoes during that time. They had their own shoe deal. They had their own shoe. But you look at both of them. Both of those kids, they're not even 25 years old now. They have broken down. LaMelo, Alonzo may never play again. He's had 3 operations on the same knee
Hey,
and
hey
got.
Mike, do you think the kids playing all these AAU games, do when you're 16, you run all day, but you think you pay a price for that
Absolutely,
when you
absolutely, Ricky, absolutely. I mean, the NBA is kind of forced the AAU to change now. They got what they call junior NBA, but these kids, 13, 14 years old. I got a couple kids in my camp. They're going to Las Vegas this weekend to play. They play all year round. The only difference now, the Adidas is not involved in Nike, but they got these other sponsors. These kids, but yes, they're playing all year round beside their high school. So that's a huge problem where your body and your knees are not able to develop at a young age.
So Mac, what do you say about the player that doesn't really get any notoriety during the school year, but they got all kind of scouts looking at him during AAU? And do you look at it sometimes as that even though it kind of kind of puts a bad slant on the way it was growing up for the most part, where people would get all their accolades from their high school season, but now you get some people getting more accolades during AAU time than the actual season. They might say, I got recruited by this school because they saw me at this tournament, instead of, well, we're in this conference and we did okay, but no scouts were coming in our area.
Right, right. Well, you take out here in Los Angeles, in California, you got the Sierra High School where LeBron's son.
Yeah,
They got notoriety. You got all these other modern day football. Well, they're going to attract scouts all the time,
right.
but if you're good, you're going to get looked at. Here's the problem I have, and I'm telling you guys straight up. I I today, and even in my camps, we have camps 3 times a year, average 150, 60 kids. I impress to the parents, get your son a scholarship, get an education, and stay in school. If you're not a lottery pick, stay in school. There's too much emphasis, in my opinion, on these kids going to the NBA. And there's only 2.5, 3% of kids out of college after 1 year of college are going to go to the NBA. The NBA, as I've said to you many times, are promoting the African League, African Academy, and the European basketball. They're putting millions of dollars into the growth of African basketball, and because they have one positive asset is that most of them are tall. And our parents, certainly the African American parents, in my opinion, are putting too much emphasis on their kids playing in the NFL and the NBA instead of focusing on an education. And listen, guys, you know my story. I graduated from high school with over 100 scholarship offers and reading at the seventh grade level and had a 1.9 grade point average. And it wasn't until I had to go to junior college where my coaches put an emphasis on education and turned my life around, where I was able to go to USC and graduate in 2 years. And so that's what I think that our system should, and certainly the African American community should be putting more emphasis on education and pushing kids instead of trying to say I'm going to NBA, because they're not going. There's a whole bunch of kids down there that are all Americans and great players in high school that are now playing in the G League or over in China or Japan somewhere.
Yeah.
So what about when
But Mike, I was
okay.
well, Mike, when you were coming through, I know when I was coming through high school, man, the best thing you could ever do was play for your high school team.
Right.
Was that the deal for you, Michael? I'm sure it was for Matt.
No. For me, I wish AAU was an option. We didn't really have AAU in my area because we had districts, right? And so what happened with me is, remember in 75, the big busing was going on. They had all the riots in Boston.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
for us, we got bussed out. So then that became a pattern where a lot of the kids from the inner city had to go out there. So it was a lot of unfair mess going on with sports because they would have their guys playing in front of definitely more talented players from the city. So you had a lot of that going on. And you couldn't, like some of these cats could go to different high schools wherever they want to. They wouldn't let us do that. Whatever district you were in, you're stuck there. So I was like, man, if I had an AAU option, who knows what I could have happen. So that pretty much destroyed my basketball career. I go to TSU. I want to be a walk-on. New coach, Coach Reed. He says, yeah, we're going to have a tryout. He wasn't even there. They weren't serious. So I said, man, I really didn't get to realize what I could have really done basketball-wise because of circumstance. So that's why when I see the AAU thing, I said, yeah, even though AAU gets a bad rap, but there are some circumstances where some people, that's their only outlet.
That's a good point, Mike.
Yeah.
But Michael, it's also these parents are paying an arm and a leg for their kids to go and play in the AAU. When the parents told me this week it's going to cost her $1,200 because it's a holiday weekend for them to stay 3 days in a hotel, and they're going to bus up from Los Angeles to there, and so the parents have to get a room as well. And so black parents get and parents are paying $200-$300 for tennis shoes. I just think that it's just too much emphasis on sports. And I know they look at the gym. I had James Harden in my camp when he was a kid. Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard was in my camp for 3 years until his father was murdered and didn't come anymore. And so the times have changed. They look at this is the way out. I still think longevity-wise, education is the key.
Oh yeah,
you have a longer career.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, what about one more question? What about those scenarios when you go to a school and it's pretty much like you're playing for that college is a job, and they pretty much say, no, you can't take those classes because it's going to interfere with practice and all that. And then some people that may have a certain major they wanted to do has been kind of compromised for the betterment of the team. So what about when those situations happen?
Well, you got to have where are the parents to say this is what we want. I want my son to major in communication or public administration or sociology. So to get him into some courses, I was a great baseball player. But when I got to USC, my coach said, "You're not playing basketball. You're not playing baseball. You came here on a basketball scholarship." And I played on the team. We were 77-1 my 2 years at Long Beach Poly, which is one of the greatest high schools in the country. Football Still today, I'm the first African American from Long Beach Poly that ever played and you got a scholarship to USC. There's never
Wow.
been one. Never been one. And the same with I was the first one. So and then I was the fifth African American to ever receive a scholarship to USC. And you look at the team now, they got 12, 14 guys, African Americans sitting on the bench with scholarship.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Mike,
so
was Mike Garrett gone by the time you got to USC?
Mike left in '64. He was a great running back, Heisman Trophy winner. I arrived in 1967 with O.J. Simpson. The
OJ, yeah,
same
I was gonna
time.
say OJ. Okay.
Yeah, O.J. They won national championship O.J.'s first year, and my
Did you
last year was '69.
did you guys see each other at all on campus?
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw him all the time. He was married to Marguerite,
Mm-hmm.
and still had a whole bunch of cheerleaders on his arm too, walking on campus.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that obviously is a sad story there. But I just guys, I don't want to sound cynical. I just at where I am today in my life, I really um, push these young kids, even in middle school. I have programs going on for these kids to think education first and sports second. But it's really hard to
Yeah,
change that shift, that mindset with the parents.
yeah,
It really is, and I'm really happy that the NBA did not allow the high school draft to come back into play in this new collective bargaining agreement.
yeah, yeah.
Because we're
Hey,
losing
hey,
our kids, man. We're losing our kids. Where are these kids going? They don't make it in the pros. Where they going? They're coming right back to where they grew up without jobs.
yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, Matt, this is just a little personal question. Do you ever see Rodney Pete around?
I do, yeah. When I've gone to some of the USC games and
Yeah, you
he
gotta
comes around.
tell him his old friend Rickey Hampton says he's trying to get him on the show.
Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
I'll try to.
you can
I'll
make
try to get a
Rodney
number.
show up for our show. He
Yeah.
always
All right.
says he's going to do the
I'll
show.
try to get a number. I'll try to get a number.
Yeah, tell him to bring Holly too. You know
Nah,
what? I have another question for you, Mac, about academia. So now, of course, they're throwing out there that we're getting to the point now where is college really necessary, because all it is creating a whole bunch of debt, and it's really destroying our economy, because everybody goes to college and they end up getting credit for $40,000-$50,000 to get out of school and can't find a job, and then now they're not only unemployed but they're in super debt, which is going to pretty much destroy them the rest of their life. So what do
so
you think
what's
about that?
what?
When people are saying that
The-
is college really necessary? You should probably just do some type of trade or not even go to college and avoid all that debt, because it almost your degree is not going to basically make up for that debt you're going to.
why is the college education so expensive?
Yeah, that's
Right, right. Well, here in California, if you go to community college, you don't have to pay anything, so it's for free.
That,
But let me broach the question to you, Michael. If college education is not that important, why is USC have an enrollment of 44% of foreigners, Asians, coming over here trying to get an
right.
education?
Exactly.
They realize the value of an education. Now they may not stay here. Once they get their degree, they're going back over to their country and learning how to, you know, put a rocket up in the sky, or put technology. So we as an African American base have never really a community have never really pushed education academics like the white community, and I think that paradigm needs to change. We have to, as a community, at a young age, push education and push more going to historical Black university than anything,
Yeah.
because a lot of these kids here in California, it's tough to get into the 4 year school to get
Right.
qualified. And
Yep.
so a lot of our kids are not going to community college. I think the world of junior college, community college, because it's a stepping stone. Some kids that are not ready to go into 4-year school, but they can go to community college.
Right.
But it starts in the home, and it starts at the middle school. And the two things I want to share with you guys. One, I'm getting ready to sign a contract with the Long Beach Unified School District to have classes or basketball educational components every Saturday throughout the year. And then they put in a contract for my nonprofit that I have 3 hours every day for after school programs. And we're going to push academics. I want to push more African American young women to go into nursing, go into culinary school, so we have but it has to start with the community, and it has to start with parents, and not so much of an emphasis. And I'm not down on sport. Use that as a vehicle. If you're good, use that to grow and to play and learn sportsmanship, learn relationship building, and get that scholarship to go on. And that's what I like about the NFL. The NFL, man, you got to go to college 3 years before you're eligible to be drafted. Now you got 3 years of education behind your belt. And the pros in the NBA, you have to be either 19 years of age or you got 1 year of college, and then you're eligible for the draft. And so I'm just pushing that more than ever. And then Ricky, you and I am back. Back writing my book. I have my book ready and available in January 2024 for the NBA All-Star Game. So I'm gonna have that completed.
We will definitely have you on to talk about that.
Yeah, you guys can get the first copies, man.
I mean, we've had some great conversations before, but this has been one of the best visits we've had. We've been able to touch on a lot of topics, and we want to thank you, Mac. You're always enlightening. You make us smarter when you come on the show.
Well, I'm grateful to you guys. You guys are. I wish several million people would be listening to you on a daily basis or weekly, because you guys, you have a fresher, different approach to sports reporting than a lot of these folks. You know the game, you're passionate about it, and you share it to your audience. And so I'm grateful and happy to anytime be on your show, and I hope that. I've been hearing some rumors from Fat Lever that they're going to invite some of the old timers back if the Nuggets win the championship. And Ricky, my first year with the Nuggets, 74-75, we were 64-15, and that was the first year they became the Denver Nuggets. It was the year before that it was the Rockets. Yes, so we were the first one. And so, yeah, Fat Lever, I talked to him. He told me that's possibility. We'll see what happens, man.
Hey, man, any of these, any of your legendary friends that want to come on here, man, we would love to have them.
David Thompson.
Because we love celebrating.
Right.
Because Mike and I, we stand on your shoulders.
Well, thank you. Well, you guys continue to promote the old school basketball, ABA, and some of us old guys. But I'll give you a list of guys that you select them. You said you've had Dr. J on before, right?
Yeah, we've had Dr. J on with
well, I wasn't
Derek.
on.
Mike hadn't had a chance. The last,
I met him at the Big Three.
Okay.
We had A-Train on about
A-Train. Yep.
A month.
Yeah. Well, he's a good man. He's a longtime friend. But you Joe Caldwell. Anytime you want him, he's a good friend. He can talk. Yeah. You just let me know, Ricky. That invitation's all I do. All I can do is make a call, and you get those guys.
I will appreciate you.
Well, here's the deal. I'm once again desperately working on trying to get credentialed for the finals. So if I do get it, and if Miami does win, that means Denver has a home court. So I would be messed up for game 1, but I may be over there definitely for game 2. And then if there's a get 5 and all that, so I'll be going to Denver if I do get credentialed for the final. So if you're over there, definitely we definitely got to meet up and all that.
Well, I'll buy you a meal, man. I'll buy you. Okay. They still have the white. They still have the White Castle there, man. So we'll go there.
That's right on my house. White Castle.
Mike, we're gonna have to get to LA. You're not that far, relatively speaking, for me. But I hadn't been out to LA in a while. I'm gonna have to come out there and
Well, I was hoping to go down there for the finals, but
and
some team didn't agree with it.
Well, you're still hoping and praying, brother. You're going to be doing that for a long time.
Well, we got to get out of here for the great Matt
All right.
Calvin, my frat brother Michael Roberson, and my frat brother Matt Calvin. I'm Rick Hampton.
Yes, sir.
Good capping, man. We will see you next time. Peace, everybody. Have a great night.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.